All right, welcome to this video. My name is Taylor Bentucci, and I'm going to talk to you today about when to offer another service. Now, this is going to be a pretty valuable video for you if you're debating offering another service, or if you've got like 10 services and you shouldn't have 10, you should just have one. Now, this primarily is something that we've been thinking about. We thought about it at our last offsite, and there's kind of two things to consider. Before considering when to offer another service, you should ask yourself these three things. And then when you're considering what service, if you feel like, after asking yourself these three things that yes, we should offer another service, we're at that stage, then you can dive into these three. So let's start with the first three. It's gonna be a very simple, short video. Number one is mastery, okay? Like the service that you're offering right now, let's use our agency as an example. We do Amazon advertising, and this is all we've done for 4 years now. And I would say that we still haven't mastered it. I would say that we still have a lot of improvements that we can make. There's ridiculous amounts of improvements. And yeah, technically you'll never really master something because it'll constantly be evolving and you can constantly get better at it. But you can just define this as like you're pretty much one of the best in the industry within the service that you're offering for that specific niche, and you're really good at it. You're consistently delivering quality results to clients, etc. And there's not a ton of room for improvement where you're like, oh my God, we could make this thing 10x better. It's like, okay, we can maybe make this 10, 20% better year over year, but it's close to mastery. Okay, so if you're close to mastery with the service that you're offering, great. You passed step number one. And I don't think our agency is anywhere near mastery. We have a long ways to go. Number two is the management and processes. So if you feel like you've mastered your service, well then this one, processes should be pretty much mastered in general, but management is basically your team and your structure. If you don't have a solid team in place to handle a whole nother service, basically you're gonna have to have your team handle your existing service to move on to a new service. And so you really need good management in place to be able to maintain what you've mastered. And Google talks about this, Eric Schmidt talked about this in How Google Works, where they basically, at one point in the company when Google was evolving pretty quickly and they had tons of cash, they were investing too much of their resources into new projects because they thought they had hit this, but they realized, hey, we can't forget about the number one core service. We need to focus more energy on Google and the search engine of Google instead of like Google Glass and like Google, like the self-driving cars and the infinite amounts of things that Google does. But the point is that you can't forget about the core service. That's the cash cow in your business, and you need good management to be able to take care of that thing if you're planning on offering another service, okay? Processes is just straightforward. You got to have documentation for everything in order to be able to have mastered your service, because if someone leaves your company, okay, and this is an important person that manages 15, 20 clients in your agency, is it gonna kill your agency? If yes, you're nowhere near considering offering another service. You seriously need to have false safes and backup people, and you need really good processes and training so that if someone amazing leaves, you will have someone ready within a matter of months to be able to replace them, or a matter of hopefully sooner. And a good book that talks about this is Zappos by, I forget the CEO's name, but Zappos Delivering Happiness, phenomenal book. They talk about how they basically they're farming people 24/7 in-house, training them so that if someone from the directors or the C-suite leaves the company, they have someone ready to replace them in just a matter of months. That's a very difficult thing to achieve, but you better be aware of that, because people are going to leave your agency. It's just a matter of time. Market limits. This is a third thing, and this may override somewhat these two, but not completely. But if you feel like you've reached the limits of your market, maybe you're in a super small micro niche, I don't know what that is, but if you're really offering a very unique service and you feel like there's not much further you can go, I don't know many services where there's a limit that is only 100,000 a month or even $500,000 a month. I think there's, every service can go beyond $1 million a month before it hits its limit, but there's probably going to be some micro niches that go against what I just said. So if you feel like you're close to your market limits, then okay, make sure you have the management process. Make sure you're pretty much mastered your overall service, and then you can consider another service. But this one takes a long time, and honestly, these two come before this one here, because even if you've hit this, but you don't have the management processes, you don't have mastery, don't go and try and offer another service. So these are the three important things, in my opinion, that you really need to have before you even consider another service. And it goes against like common, decision making and common opinion, because you look at most agencies and they start with like 10 services. They do SEO, they do web design, they do PPC, they do Bing ads, Google ads, Facebook ads, Amazon ads, every type of ad you can possibly think of, they do it. They do design, they do like blogging for you, they do everything, and that's why they call it full service. But when you do everything, you'll never hit mastery, and very rarely will you be able to have great management processes, and you'll never hit the market limit, because when you're offering 10,000 services, you'll never ever even come close. So with that being said, let's move over to, let's say that you got these three things, and hey, yeah, you've really mastered your service, you have good management, you have good processes, and even if you're not at the market limit, if you have these two things, you can consider going to the next one. Personally, I like pushing this really far before even trying to consider another service. But anyways, if you have the first two, you can technically move on to another service, and it's not always a bad decision. So let's talk about how to consider another service. So the first thing, in my opinion, is parallel/demand. The service should be very parallel to what you're currently offering. Let me give you an example. We offer Amazon advertising, all right? There is quite a few different forms of Amazon advertising, but the specific ones that we offer are sponsored products, sponsored brands, sponsored display. There's three types of Amazon advertising within the overall branch of Amazon advertising. And there's a couple more. There's DSP, which is more of a traditional type of advertising that's been around for a long time. And so for us, that would be a parallel transition, because it's another form of Amazon advertising, but it's more so for big brands that are wanting to invest in impressions and whatnot, and not so much like conversions and ROI on profit. So parallel/demand, it should be very parallel to what your current service is, and your clients should already want it, right? Like if you're thinking about another service to offer, your clients, the moment you mention it to them, like, hey, like imagine you have a really happy client, they love your service that you've currently offered them. Let's just say it's Facebook ads, and you've been working with them for 2 years, and then all of a sudden you go to that client and you say, hey, look, we're offering Facebook ads now, blah blah blah, whatever the service is. They should instantly be like, yes, let's do it. I love it, right? If your clients wouldn't instantly say yes to the service that you're thinking of offering, just get rid of it. It should be something that is a no-brainer for your client to say yes to, which will basically make it really easy for you to sell it, and it's in demand, right? You don't want to come up with a service that's not in demand, that's not parallel with something else. What's really great is if you can offer a service that helps your existing service. So for us, we have been thinking about offering listing content for listing pages to help with conversion rates, because if we can increase the conversion rate of our client's landing page, then our advertising actually will perform better. So you know what I mean? So they go hand in hand, they're perfect, they're parallel together, and what client does not want to increase their listing page conversion rate? Perfect, right? So number one is checked off. Number two is the difficulty to provide. So you got to consider this, and this one's, you really got to think this one long term and think about all the different second and third order consequences of this service. So how difficult is the service to provide? Difficulty, you can consider the margins in here, but more so just like what is the things that need to be learned, and is it much difficult than the current service that you're offering? How competitive is it? Is there a lot of people out there that are training people on how to be good at this service? Like for example, for SEO, you have insane amounts of courses. For PPC on Google, you have insane amounts of courses and resources to learn from. So you gotta ask, okay, can we learn this thing quickly? How easy would it be for us to really master this service or come close to mastery? How easy would it be for us to be able to get our clients results with this service? Okay, so That one's pretty straightforward. It's obvious. And the third one is resources required. So this kind of goes in tangent with number 2, but you know, who are you going to have to hire? What kind of softwares are you going to have to invest in? What kind of training are you going to have to invest in? How much time is it going to take? And this is the one that everybody always forgets. What is the opportunity cost? Okay, opportunity cost is basically, hey, if you go after this service, what was the other service that you could have considered that is basically the opportunity cost of going after this service, okay? So if you have service A and service B, and you go after service A, the opportunity cost was service B. And you got to try to calculate what that cost could be to be able to make a better decision on whether or not this is the service that you want to provide, additionally on top of your core service, okay? So for me, these are the 3 things that I think about. I hope it was kind of useful and helpful to you. It's very simple, straightforward, but a lot of people overlook it, man. They start offering services out of nowhere. Their client says, hey, can you do this for me? Just a bit of email marketing. Yeah, we can figure that out. Here's $2,000. Okay, great. It takes you like 6 weeks to figure it out because you've never really done this, but you can figure it out and you're willing to make that extra $2K or $3K or $5K or $10K or whatever it is. And it's short-term thinking, okay? It's very short-term thinking to just, when a client says, can you do this? And you say, yes, we can, and you spend ridiculous amounts of time, your team, you have no processes, nothing. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. So I'm a big believer in saying no relentlessly until you got mastery, you got management, you got processes, you got a lot of cash in the bank, you got a solid business and a solid service that's running, and it's just churning away day after day. It's like a machine that's like you put a client in, and a happy client comes out, and you produce a certain amount of profit out of that. And that's what it is, okay? And it's difficult to do that when you offer 10 million services and you say yes to every request that your client makes that's out of your scope of what your current service is, okay? So that is the video. Hopefully you found it valuable. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit that subscribe button. I post a video once a week, trying to stay consistent. Haven't missed a week for, I think it's close to over half a year now, or over a year. I don't know what it is. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. Ciao.